Now here's a guitar for Twisted Sister. Welcome back, Troglodytes, to your daily dose of guitar information, the Trogly's Guitar Show. Yeah, somebody went a little bit crazy with this Firebird and transformed it into a stone top guitar. Now, this is far from the first time that anyone's ever attempted this, because in 2015, Gibson actually did a classic rock version of the guitar too, except for these didn't actually have stone tops to them. It was just a special finish. This guy is the real deal. So let's take a look at this. It's kind of like an interesting granite looking top. You've got a lot of color to it. I think that's what makes this one particularly interesting, because you got a lot of red, you've got some white. I mean, it kind of looks like you're looking at the surface of Mars or something. So even if you're not into this whole stone top vibe that's going on, you could still like it from like a space theme, maybe even a leather-like vibe that's rotting away, I guess. But this is not a granite top, it's called an agate stone top. You can find it quite often in jewelry, but I'm going to let Jill Maurer explain a little bit more on that. You can check out her YouTube channel as well.
Agate is a microcrystalline form of quartz. And what microcrystalline means is that the quartz crystals are so small that you can't see them with the naked eye. Agate can be solid, it can be just one color, but generally it is not. Usually it's a combination of colors. Some of them that we find often include blue lace agate, crazy lace agate, moss agate, Botswana agate, dendritic agate, iris agate, Fairburn agate, and condor agate. Agate comes in at about a 7 on the Mohs scale, which means it's reasonably scratch resistant and hard. Combine that with it being beautiful and relatively inexpensive, and you see why it is used often to make affordable jewelry.
Well, if nothing else, you'll learn about Agate Stone today. I learned a lot from her little speech there. I really think the possibilities of using iris agate as a top to a guitar is really interesting, because then you could kind of have like a rainbow effect on your instrument. So it's kind of like one of those new century mirror tops, but it's, slightly different. Something else interesting. The only problem being it's translucent, so you'd be able to see the wood underneath it as well. But that could be a good thing. The other one I found interesting was the Botswana agate. That's got a lot of rings to it. Kind of reminds me of how trees grow, so that could make for an interesting top if you could find a large enough piece of it. Or maybe even just kind of piece it together on the top. The only thing I feel that they're missing here is they should have done it to the headstock as well, because that's kind of a thing Firebird's got going for them. The headstocks have this black veneer that covers over something that should resemble what's on this. So having some nice streakiness on that would have made this guitar look even better, and maybe even help make this guitar feel a little bit more balanced. But switching over to the backside, you can see it's just kind of a regular Firebird here. Neck through in construction, 9-ply. We've got a comfort cut right there, the 2 wings that join to the neck. That's not usually there, and what is going on here? I mean, it took me so long to figure out what they actually did to this guitar, and it was that little feature that kind of cued me in on what happened here. Alright, did you notice that the pickguard is missing here? So they've taken off the pickguard and they routed it out through the back in order to not have the additional channels showing, so that's one thing. But it's a string through guitar now. How cool is that? Neck through and string through. It's got all the throughs. Because naturally when they put the stone top on, they're covering all the additional body routes, which includes the bridge and tailpiece studs. So in order not to do a bunch of routing, they just decided to convert it to string through. If this has been properly intonated, I don't think they put the bridge in the right location when they put it back in, because those saddles are nearly maxed out. So that may or may not be a problem for somebody who wants to purchase this guitar. But hey, they left it with the mini humbuckers. They likely had to reroute that out. And we got these new fancy knobs. I'm not sure if they have like some sort of ruby on top of them or if it's part of this stone as well. I just wish we had a better side angle profile view to see just how thick that top is. Realistically, it's probably just a thin veneer, or else this thing would be ridiculously heavy. But they do have this photo that shows it's a little over 10.5 pounds. That's not too bad. I mean, there's some Les Paul Customs that weigh that much. But as far as aftermarket modifications go, those actually look fairly clean. Ooh, here's a thought. What if they would have replaced the inlays with stone material as well? Just, completely round the things off. If they would have done the headstock, they should have done this too, but it looks like they just left this alone. We've got a rosewood fretboard with the acrylic inlays. You got the fret nibs binding along the neck. Everything's pretty standard here. And this is one of those Firebirds that has the original style banjo tuners on it. And judging by your serial number, it was made in 2003, towards the end of the year. So that raises the question, do you consider this a retopped guitar or refinished? Oh, that's quite the conundrum to think about. Because the finish appears untouched on the back and on the face of the headstock, but did they actually take the time to take the finish off the front of the instrument and shave it down a little bit? Or did they just simply slap the stone on top of it and make it a bulkier Firebird than it started? I'm gonna guess they went for the bulkier one because that top cannot be that thick, or else this guitar would have been a lot heavier than 10.5 pounds. Because stone like that, it gets heavy. But it looks like it still has a Gibson Firebird case. I really, really love their label they put on this thing. The Stone Tone Firebird. Nice. So how much does this rock guitar cost? $4,500. I mean, I don't know if that's really worth it. Is there really a good story behind this? Let's find out. It says it's a 63 style Firebird 5 modified by Stone Tone. Okay, so is this actually a thing? Guitar Stone Tone. Okay, so this is a company. Well, maybe not. This just looks like some sort of a block upgrade for a tremolo. Is there actually a company that does this? I'm not sure. All I can find are these Stone Tone block upgrades, so maybe it's buried in here. But this is being advertised as a masterpiece and kind of like an art guitar, I guess. Oh, that's interesting. They're saying that is a block of granite on the other side. Huh, so maybe it is that same company because it's kind of the Stone Tone vibes going on there. Interesting. I would have never thought to make a granite guitar. It would just be so heavy. But other than that, I'm not seeing any type of super fancy thing, but it's offered for sale on Reverb by Miami Vintage Guitars. Personally, I would evaluate this one maybe around $3,000 for somebody that just has to have something as unique as this guitar. But I think even that's kind of pushing it. $2,500 might be more realistic. I mean, at the end of the day, it's a modified Firebird 5. And if we look those up, I think they're what, around $1,800? Yeah, looks like anywhere between 12 to like 18, depending on the condition and the year. Honestly, I think I was being a little bit generous because even though it was probably rather expensive to do this modification, the money that you put into guitars, restoring them and turning them into something else, you rarely ever get that back. But on the other hand, if this came out of the factory looking like this would probably be like an $8,000 to $10,000 guitar. It would be interesting to see Gibson do a real granite top guitar, even if it's just a super thin top like this, but just really do it because that would get collectors talking. So for today's playing demo, let's go ahead and check out a Firebird 5. Unfortunately, there's no video for this one. The only question left, would you rock the Stone Tone Firebird or not? Leave your answer down in the comment section below. Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe, and we will see you tomorrow on the next episode. Take care.